You are now watching On Point, a news and public affairs show from California State University, Northridge.
Hello, and welcome to CSUN On Point. I'm your host, Samantha Kline. It's Women's History Month, a time to celebrate the incredible women making lasting impacts across all areas of life, including through their businesses. From professionals with years of experience to those who took the leap without prior training, women continue to prove time and time again that entrepreneurship takes many different forms. Today, we're diving into the diverse paths of success and celebrating perseverance, passion, and hustle that fuel women-owned businesses. Now, let's meet the trailblazing entrepreneurs behind them. Next to me is Lilian Alger, a business strategist and consultant with a passion for helping entrepreneurs grow and succeed. Lilian works with New Economics for Women, also known as NEW, an organization dedicated to supporting female entrepreneurs. As a part of the Women's Business Center at NEW, Lilian specializes in helping business owners create solid foundations and navigate the challenges of business growth. Sitting next to Lilian is Jazzy Colbert, a recent Cal Lutheran graduate and the founder of Jazzy. Her jewelry brand features handmade, one-of-a-kind earrings, adjustable bracelets, and beaded necklaces. Jazzy started her business while still in school and has continued to grow it since her graduation. She's passionate about giving back, donating 10% of her sales to the National Alliance on Mental Illness. Jazzy's work reflects both her creativity and commitment to making a positive impact in her community. And finally, next to Jazzy is Leone, an entrepreneur who dove into business with no prior experience. Louann started in her garage in West Hills, assembling electrical components for signs. She later launched Judy Originals, selling handmade music boxes, statues, and jewelry. But she didn't stop there. Louann then opened Country Flair in a shopping center in West Hills, offering handmade furniture and ceramics. While Louann may not be in business anymore, she has a lifetime of entrepreneurial experience to share. Lilian, Louann, and Jazzy, thank you three so much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you guys. So to start off the show, Lilian, we'll start with you, and I'll ask you guys this question as well. So can you briefly tell me how you got into your business helping women, specifically?
2019, and I had a business plan, but then COVID hit.
Oh my gosh.
And everything changed. And the more I tried to register a business, the more I Googled, the more information I looked for, the more lost I was. So my neighbor told me about this business center, so I went. And I was impacted how all the information they gave me, how relevant and easy it was. So what I thought was Mount Everest, it became like a checklist. And they helped me out through the process so I could begin my business on professional and personal development. And while we talked about my dreams and I learned more about the business center, then we started working together. So 4 years later or 5 years later, I'm their client and they are my clients as well.
That's incredible. So you went in with like a passion for business and then ended up helping other people as well.
Yes, I went looking for information because really I didn't know, I was very confused about all the permits and licenses and information. It was just overwhelming.
Right.
Just to have someone to go to and ask.
Wow, that's a really incredible start. And then Jazzy, I will ask you the same thing. Can you tell me a little bit about how you started your business?
Absolutely. So, yeah, my name is Jazzy. I'm the owner of Jazzy, and I've had this business since I was 12 years old in 2010.
Wow.
So I'm 26 now, and it actually started by my childhood babysitter showing me how to make earrings one day, and I never stopped. So it's definitely been a great outlet for me. When I was in 6th grade was around the time I first started selling my bracelets, necklaces, earrings at local farmers markets with the help of my mom womaning the cash register.
Right.
Yeah, you know, at that time, definitely adults gave me like a weird look at those like bigger markets, but I was really passionate about it. And since then, it's been a great way for me to kind of cope with my OCD, honestly, because I got diagnosed in 2016, and little did I know I had been using it that whole time as a way to, you know, therapeutically like string beads and also create community by making custom pieces for people.
Right, and I in the intro I mentioned you donate 10% of your profits to the Mental Illness Association. Can you talk a little bit more about that? That seems to be like a really special place, and you connected to your business.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very important to me. I found out about NAMI through some of the OCD conventions I've participated in, and I've really admired their services. They're a national organization that helps fund for both getting people access to the care they need and also pushing for legislation for greater mental health advocacy. I've always donated a portion of my profits to some organization since I was 12. It actually used to be animal rescue. But kind of as I learned more about my own journey, my priorities changed and started to use my business as a way to enter those communities and actually leading groups of that included mental health check-ins while doing a calming project, crafting-wise.
Oh wow, that's really great. So an outlet and a business for you. Yeah. That's really interesting. And Leone, I'll toss you the same question. Can you tell me briefly about your many businesses that you ran or how you started your first one?
Well, the first one came because after pregnancy, I was bored. There was nothing to do. And I love crafts, arts and crafts. Went to college, became an occupational therapist. And then when I was pregnant, back then you couldn't work during your pregnancy. So going back to the fact that I loved arts and crafts, I would build different things and sell them at art shows in different parks in the valley. And liking the fact that people paid cash for it, that was the best part. And I was my own business. I was the owner and my own business now. I thought further that I could maybe expand this into other facets. One thing happened during that time, and my husband in his job, needed electrical components put together. And I said, well, I'll start a company called Piece by Piece, and you pay us piecework for doing all the electrical pre-wires and so forth. And I hired women from church that were in the same boat as me, bored, at home and wanted to earn some money. So after that, that went on to me learning how to solder, and I was soldering in the garage, and I made kinetic sculptures that spun around with a ball on the end that weighted it down, and then I hired my father to do the finished product, the shiny part, where it needs polishing, that type of thing. So he was working for me. And then meanwhile, my sister opened a small little shop, and it was called Judy Originals. And we decided to put the two companies together.
I see.
And then we rented a garage shop in Canoga Park, and they're called incubators. And what they do is you start out there, and hopefully you'll eventually be in a big shop. And then we hired the girls from church again, and then my mom and dad worked for us. And then from that, after years, and my child was in school, then I decided I would like to own a card and gift shop.
Right.
So that's when I went into that.
So a very, very, very long history with multiple businesses, all because your love for arts and crafts and boredom. That is a really inspiring story. I'm actually going to bring it back to Lilian. So with your experience in the Women's Business Center, what would you say is a really big challenge that female entrepreneurs have when just starting out with their business? If you can name one. It's probably a lot, but pick, yeah.
It should be define and clarify as much as you can, specifically on how much will it cost. because usually we dream and we say, oh, I want to do this and I want to do that, but you need to narrow it down to how much will it cost? How much will it cost to begin this business? And then how much will it cost to keep it running every month? Though, and how will you raise that money? And you usually say, oh, I'll just take a business loan. And it doesn't work like that. And you also need your emergency fund, because usually businesses won't, unlikely will pick up really, selling will be really high the first months. So you need to have money for that too. Well, COVID taught us a lesson on that.
I bet.
So I would say work your numbers. And another very important component is your family. If you're going to begin a business, and if you are, you have a spouse, you have children, sit with them and make them part of your journey, make them part of your dream, and have them help you. Because if you don't, what will happen is that you're going to be, in a way, consumed by the business, and then probably or maybe your family will resent you a little, because they will see the business as competition for your attention, your love, when you were there first and now you're not.
I see.
So make it a family endeavor.
Right, invite the family in instead of keeping them separate. That's a really interesting piece of advice, thank you. And Jazzy, speaking of challenges, you were a student and a business owner. Well, you were a child as well and a business owner. That sounds really, really challenging.
Thank you.
Can you maybe briefly tell me some of the challenges you faced while managing school and business?
Absolutely. Like, echoing Lilian here, I think it's definitely difficult as a woman to find balance, because there's so many expectations of us, whether, you know, you're a mother, in my case, like a full-time student, and also dealing with undiagnosed, like, you know, mental health condition, where I eventually knew I would have to have accommodations, like extra test time, but I was kind of like out in the weeds, honestly being bullied pretty bad, like since elementary school.
Really?
And part of what inspired me to start my business is there were actually other girls in my 6th grade class who were using, like, selling lanyards on the down low at recess or at lunch, like when they weren't supposed to sell. You know, hiding it from the teachers is kind of a way to, like, find community with each other, which was interesting. And I figured I'd try it. And honestly, like, I don't blame those girls who were mean to me back then, because it's easy to follow along with, like, if one queen bee says, oh, she's weird, don't talk to her. That weirdness they were talking about later I would find out was, like, outwardly presenting symptoms, like, you know, overly tying my shoes over and over again, or washing my hands for too long. And even though I didn't quite understand these things, by creating custom designs for people, they were actually able to have a conversation with me.
That's incredible.
And get to know me for who I am. And I also ask questions about them and get to know who they are.
I see, okay. And then I'll ask Louann the same thing. Can you name just one quick challenge that you found while running multiple businesses?
I think the fact being a woman in the 1970s owning anything was difficult. And when my sister and I had the business Judy Originals together, a salesman decided to sue us for back.
Really?
Yes, for his income, you know, and we said, so he took us to court. So we're in court. He doesn't show up for the first time. The second time we show up, and I had countersued him because he was suing us for supposedly his commissions,
Interesting.
which he didn't have coming because he was really selling our competitors' product
I see.
and then charging us.
Wow, that sounds like a really, really difficult court situation, which I'd love to talk about. We're going to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere, because when we return, we'll be looking at how community events, such as farmers markets, can help businesses expand and build a following. So stick around, you're watching On Point.
When I was 10, my mom got deported. We had a difficult time, and I feel that's why I didn't get to finish school. My husband is really supportive in a way that he pushed me to go back to school.
She wants to have a career so her kids can look up to her.
They both keep me motivated to go to school, and they see that if I do it, like, they can do it too, you know? I feel that everything's possible.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back.
Dad!
You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
Welcome back to CSUN On Point. Right now, we're talking with some incredible women making an impact in the world of business. Starting your own business is no easy feat, and one of the hardest things is building a consistent consumer base. Many entrepreneurs don't start brick and mortar stores. Instead, many have their beginnings at community events like farmers markets. Our reporter, Sebastian Gontes, went to the Northridge Fashion Center, where people are popping up and building those connections.
Many vendors are just getting on their feet. Others aren't new to the game, but are new to the country.
We've been in the market in Colombia for around 12 years, and we got to the U.S. a year ago. Everything is extremely different. The laws are extremely different. The public and the customers are extremely different. They drink coffee different in Colombia than in here.
At 23, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And that end of the year, I decided, I needed something to kind of get me back into life. And I started this last year in 2024. This was my first market that I started at, and it's been a hit.
And in community events like this, family businesses thrive.
Well, we started our business during COVID because that's when everyone tried to do something new.
And my mom, who sells crystals beside me, encouraged me to sell some jewelry that I was making.
We kind of started this together. We used to roll together and be in the same booth. Now we've kind of branched off into our separate entities.
Despite the differences in what they sell, all these vendors have common values and goals.
I get to meet people that are here that, I live in the valley as well, so it's fun.
I'm able to really foster community there, and even within the vendors, we all kind of look out for each other. So there's some connection there that you really can't find by just selling stuff online.
Being with the people, getting to spread my brand, showing the quality of my product, seeing the reactions of the people trying it, I think I won't change it for anything.
Thank you, Sebastian. Pop-up events are such an amazing way to meet the community around you. Jazzy, you said that you went to a bunch of pop-up farmers markets when you were younger and got judged, you said, or people were like, oh,
Yeah,
why is there a kid here? Was that kind of taking you back to your childhood, looking at that package and seeing all the people at in the community?
Absolutely, and actually I still do farmers markets, craft shows, but I think definitely people question me at first, adults coming up saying, why is this necklace 16 inches? I'm, bigger than you. One lady was not understanding how at the time my audience was kids. So that's understandable, but I think as I've grown up, I've definitely been grateful for farmers markets and craft shows and things like that, because it's a great way to be able to sign up a couple weeks in advance and be able to balance, knowing when you need to prepare for a show while, in my case, still being in school. If you can sense your homework's going to be a rough month ahead, right, you can postpone. And it's a great way for someone who's keeping, going with their business while also maybe not having a formal storefront.
Makes sense. I'm going to switch tones a little bit. Lilian, so you said you recently moved here in 2019, right before the pandemic hit. Can you tell me a little bit about your experience moving like to a completely new place and then also doing like entrepreneurial business? Like how did that work for you? That must have been very overwhelming, to say the least.
I think everything happens in my personal case for a reason. When I had been coming to the United States a lot to give trainings and also to receive trainings. So I was kind of familiar with the culture and how things worked, especially everything regarding everything standardized. And so I like that much about the United States. But it's never the same when you come and live here. So the pandemic gave me time to read, to reach out, to find. And something I'm very grateful for is how the community, how experienced people from all branches in all areas started giving out these talks or workshops for free. So it gave, I think, a lot of people a huge opportunity to meet people who otherwise would have been inaccessible.
And you say workshops. Can you tell me a little bit more about the workshops that you guys offer there?
Well, at the Business Center, we offered, I think it's more than 300 workshops a year, wow. Free workshops. Right now, we just have English program and Spanish program, but we might expand into other audiences too.
What types of audiences?
Well, the other languages would say.
Okay.
It would be other languages. And we give everything from marketing, AI, cash flow, business certification, procurement, even import and export. There is a before and after pandemic import-export that also opened the doors. Before, export and import was a very difficult topic or endeavor to navigate, but after pandemic, everything changed. So now in the world, there are like sister countries, sister cities, sister businesses that the government is able to link business owners, so it's safer.
I see. Speaking of changes, Jazzy, I know you have your business run through your social media accounts as well. I'm actually going to pass this to Louann. What did you do before social media existed? You ran your businesses way before the internet was even really used for marketing. So how did you market your businesses before social media?
Well, my card and gift shop, I sent out little postcards with the picture of the inside of the shop. And I said, if you bring this in, you get a free gift. And that was my marketing. Giving away a gift like that, usually people will come in.
I see. Okay. And then Jazzy, speaking of that, so how would you market if you didn't have social media? Or I'm so sorry, how do you market now that you do have social media? I can't imagine how difficult it would have been without being able to post on Instagram. Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's the way that a lot of small businesses and just general businesses market themselves nowadays. So how do you use social media?
I'm definitely grateful for social media. I'm mainly on Instagram. I actually wasn't on Instagram until 2017. So at the beginning, it was that community networking that we're talking about, where it's the local vendor community. Oh, I heard about this market. Oh, I heard about this place that's posting flyers in person, and word of mouth. But recently, it's been trying to gain traction through Reels. It's definitely. I think my one complaint with that is definitely the oversaturation of the market right now. In terms of, it's hard to keep people's attention. It's an attention economy, and a lot of reels are like under 10 seconds. And when you have a handmade craft, I mean, I want to show like the long form like process and not like a fast version of me stringing beads. So I think both are important, the in-person and online, because I think it's easier to make a sale actually when you strike up a conversation with someone in person.
I see. And Jazzy brings up a good point that there is a lot of oversaturation in the market. How do you help the entrepreneurs who come to you guys make themselves stand out? And what tools do you guys provide them to help them market themselves?
For the marketing, where we begin is with your personal brand, because you are your business. So small businesses have a very beautiful common denominator, that they're like businesses with a soul, because you are dealing exactly with the founder, with the owner. So we help them find that thing that makes you unique. For example, we have a client that she has a plant nursery in Santa Clarita. And we were talking about competition one day. Who are your competitors? And she said, my greatest competitor is Home Depot I have nearby, but I'm not scared, because my clients, when they buy my plants, I give them my phone number. And if the plant gets yellow or it's like wilting, they can call me and I can help them out. No one at Office Depot, sorry for the name, will be able to do that.
Right.
So, wow, she found what makes her unique, and that gave her confidence in a way, and she was not afraid of the competition, even a business that is so much bigger than hers.
I see. And speaking of the competition, I'm sure, Louann, you had some competition in the Valley, but you still managed to run these businesses. Can you tell me your biggest accomplishment, if you could name it, out of any of your businesses? Like, what's a milestone that you hit that you're like, yeah, I did that?
I think the card and gift shop. The other companies I had actually provided work for people who needed it back in the 70s and the 80s. But the card and gift shop, personally, that was rewarding to me. And it actually turned into a little meeting places for people in the neighborhood. And I always said I should have served liquor there, because I was a good bartender. They come in and tell me stories, and it was a nice community meeting place. But
so
yeah.
Making that community is like
bringing
the most rewarding part
together
of it.
in a small shop.
I bet you can all agree with that. That the community is definitely
more personal.
Exactly. All right, switching topics a little bit, let's talk about the future of your businesses. So, Louann, I know you obviously don't own any of the businesses anymore, so we'll take a little bit of a different approach. What made you step away from the business?
Well, it got to the point where my daughter was no longer an infant, and she was in college, CSUN, and I just didn't have the clientele. One of the big businesses across the street went out of business, but I did advertise to sell turnkey, which means the whole store for X amount of dollars. And she saw it, and she said, I have a coffee shop, and I would love to buy your shop and put coffee in it, and that's how I sold it. Another woman wanting to enjoy her freedom of having her own.
You passed it on to her to take.
Yes.
That's incredible.
Wow,
awesome.
amazing.
All right. Well, I think that's all the time we have here today. As we celebrate Women's History Month, let's remember that every entrepreneurial journey is unique, but with passion, perseverance, and support, dreams can be achieved. I'd like to thank my three guests, Lilian, Jazzy, and Louann, for their incredible stories. Thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, Samantha Kline, and we'll see you next time on CSUN On Point.